Hey guys, my name is Matsumiao, and welcome to our episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I'll give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you'd like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. The first question for the day is, did you hear that Ubisoft is currently working on adding cross-platform play to Rainbow Six Siege? What are your thoughts? I did hear about that, and I think that's fantastic news. The CEO of Ubisoft basically came out and said that they are actively working, and they've been working on it for quite some time, bringing cross-platform to basically all of their big player versus player games, like For Honor, but also including stuff like Rainbow Six Siege. And while we don't have a release date or anything along those lines, I'm sure it's going to take quite a while for them to develop this properly. The fact that this is happening, I think is going to be an amazing addition to the game. Now, I know that some people have already expressed some concerns about this news because they're worried that console players are now going to have to go against PC players, which is going to put them at a significant disadvantage. Most people on PC are using a mouse and keyboard and the accuracy and precision that comes with that. And while that could happen, I would be very surprised if that was the case. If I had to take a guess, it's probably going to work very similar to something like Modern Warfare, where it depends on what input device that you're using. So if you're using a mouse and keyboard, you'll only be able to use that, and you'll also be paired with people that are also using a mouse and keyboard. If you're playing on console, it's going to be pairing you up with other players that are also using a controller. I truly do believe that cross-platform play is going to be the future of gaming from here on out. It increases your effective player base that is on at any given moment, which allows you to have more consistent matchmaking. It's going to pair you with people that are around your same skill level more reliably. It's going to get you in games faster because there's more people playing. And then on top of that, you can actually play with friends on different platforms without actually having to buy a brand new copy for that specific system. And so all in all, I cannot wait to have this added into Rainbow Six Siege. It may take a while. Once again, we don't have an official release date. Maybe this will be something that is implemented when the new console generation comes out. But the fact that more companies and Ubisoft is going to be bringing this to their games, I think is phenomenal news. The next question comes from Jeffrey, and it is, do you think the M4 and the 7.25 shotty should be nerfed? Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt. Especially the 7.25, while I fully understand that they wanted to make sure that it was strong because you only get 2 shots and then you need to reload. So it has a lot of hindrances, it has a lot of things holding it back technically, but because it does so much damage so far away, it makes it one of the most frustrating weapons to go against. I've had moments where I was 20 meters out from someone, they didn't even really line up the shot at all, they hip fired me, and they were able to drop me with that one round. It is way too strong. Same is true for the M4. High rate of fire, amazing damage, laser beam like accurate. It has no weaknesses. You can use it up close, long range. You can out snipe essentially people, anyone. Like, it is an incredibly powerful weapon. Now, obviously, there are always going to be weapons that are better than others. We're never going to get to a point where everything is perfectly balanced, but I don't think that's an excuse not to actually try and balance them out. Some people are arguing that this is probably due in part because of the skill-based matchmaking. The reason why we're going against so many people that are using these is because that's the meta right now. Like, if you want to do well, you need to be using the best, and so it's making it difficult to experiment because you're going against everyone who really just wants to reach the top of the scoreboard. And while I don't think that skill-based matchmaking is inherently a bad thing, because you want to have a good experience for those new players. If they're constantly just getting dominated by everyone else and they're not having a good time with it, then they're just going to leave. And so having a place where they can, get better and kind of get accustomed to what the multiplayer is about, like, I don't think that that's a bad thing. But I also don't think that the matchmaking should be very restrictive for everyone else. At the end of the day, Call of Duty is meant to be a more casual experience, trying out different weapons, especially with this attachment setup. Like, you have so many ways to experiment in this game, but if you have everyone trying to use the top tier loadouts all the time because that's the only way to compete, it kind of lessens that enjoyment. And so my hope is that if there actually is a skill-based matchmaking, that it is a very loose and not restrictive system. You want to have your newer players, enjoying the game, but at the same time, this isn't a ranked environment. If you want to bring more of that competitive action, then add in a ranked playlist, but don't have it be ultra restrictive for all of the other modes. But that is just my 2 cents. Overall, though, I realize I kind of veered off in a different direction there. I do think that these 2 weapons need some adjusting. They're way too strong right now. They really don't have a whole lot of weaknesses, and I'm crossing my fingers that Infinity Ward is going to be taking a look at them. The next question is, do you think that Ubisoft should utilize the test server more often? Right now, it seems like they only test pre-patch performance, which is great, but I think that they should throw on more dramatic changes to test ideas. 3-speed Nook, for example. I 100% agree with you on this one. As you mentioned, the test server is basically just a place to ensure that there isn't a large glaring bugs or issues or game-breaking problems before a season goes live. And while they do take our feedback every once in a while, when Nomad came out, her gadget was straight overpowered. You could literally fling this into an objective, and because it would activate mid-air, it essentially would just throw everyone down to the ground, and then she could waltz on in and clean everyone up. Like, it was definitely a big problem, and I think they fixed that before it went live for everyone. But by and large, and it's become abundantly clear, it's really just the test bed to ensure that there aren't any large glaring issues before the start of the season. And so I am right there with you, and I think it would be amazing if they tried to really just ask the community and get the community involved with some of these operator ideas. Having a 3-speed Nook, maybe making some changes to Tachanka to mix it up a little bit. The only thing I can think of for why they would be hesitant about this is that it might set some expectations that they can't really deliver on. So let's say a lot of people like the idea of having a 3-speed Nook flying around the map, but then they come to the realization that it's too strong. But because they set that expectation, like, oh, hey, we're testing this out, it's gonna be happening, that might lead to some disappointment in the community. I can only imagine that they are testing these things internally, and they come to the realization really quickly that either they work really well or they don't whatsoever, and so there's really no point to get the community's feedback on something like that. Maybe a 3-speed Nook really is blatantly overpowered, and we don't need to have the community weigh in on it or even see this as an option because it would set an unrealistic expectation, and they don't want to let those players down. All that being said, though, I still wish that they would experiment more, especially with some of those ideas that maybe they're on the fence about and do get the community's feedback. It would also hopefully just get more people to play on the test servers. I can't tell you how many times I've logged in trying to test out a new change to an operator, but because it isn't a brand new operator that was introduced or a new map, no one plays on it. You have to wait like 30 to 45 minutes just to simply find a game. So what are we even testing if no one can even find a match to test out all of these changes? And so in general, while I do agree with you for more selfish reasons, at the same time, I can also understand why Ubisoft hasn't done something like this. It's great to get the community involved, but that also comes with its own problems. The next one comes from James, and it is, did you try the new Battlefield 5 Pacific Theater content? If so, what did you think? I've had a surprising amount of fun with Battlefield 5 lately. It's only 2 maps right now, but the one thing that really stuck out to me was that this finally is starting to feel like a Battlefield game. One of the things I think DICE has been struggling with so far is that a lot of people, when they're playing a game like this, especially one in this setting, they want to play in those iconic areas, and we're starting to actually get that. Like when you're making your way up to the beach and then you're trying to push up into the mountainsides, like it is an incredible experience. It's epic. Like I was having Battlefield moments left, right, and center, and maybe that's just simply because I've been playing a lot of COD lately, but it was definitely a very stark contrast between the two. On top of that, there is now an incredible amount of weapons to play around with. because I took a pretty long break from the game, they were slowly adding more and more each and every single month. Now that we're at this point, there's a lot to choose from. Granted, the customization does leave a little bit to be desired. It's not perfect. There are still issues with the game, but by and large, I have been having a lot of fun with this DLC. And so I am really excited to see where this goes into the future. They are going to be bringing in Wake Island, I think, in December. They're going to be adding more content from here on out. They've also indicated that the next Battlefield isn't going to be happening, I think, until like 2021. So Battlefield 5 is going to be here to stay, and I'm hopeful that they're going to be continuously updating it along the way. If they continue to bring these kinds of maps and content in the future, I think they could be onto something, but we are going to have to wait and see. But yeah, guys, that is what it for today's episode of Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Are you excited about the idea of crossplay coming to Rainbow Six Siege? Are you a little worried? Why or why not? Let me know down below. As always, if you'd like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can always leave a comment or by sending me a Facebook or Twitter message. But until next time, guys, have a good one and take it easy.